On July 5th of last year, I woke up just like any other day. I was in the last weeks of my pregnancy and had to go to one of my last prenatal visits. At the doctor's office, I listened as the doctor explained that I was beginning to dilate and that we could expect my baby Brady to be born any day. Then on our way back from the doctor's office, tragedy struck. A drunk driver slammed into our car, changing the entire course of our lives. The driver had 4 prior DUIs, and on his 5th DUI, he severely injured my mother and I and killed my unborn son Brady. As I hung on to life in the hospital, I slowly realized that the life of my son Brady had been taken from me. My beautiful baby boy had died in my womb from the trauma caused by the accident. The nurses in the hospital Brady just as if he had been born alive and healthy. At the end of the day, you will have to make a decision and live with it. Every year, the legislature looks for excuses to reject the recognition of babies like Brady as victims of violent crimes. In another year that you choose to side with the criminals and against mothers who only want the lives of their babies to be respected and given justice. Thank you.
To find out that when the charges were filed, we found out that nothing was going to be filed against the driver of the vehicle, against Brady. That's when we found out that they were just like, well, he didn't count. It's not a life. And when you look at this picture, it is a life. To be able to have that life taken and be told that that life doesn't count, it needs to stop because it does count. Brady's life counted.
I would like to first of all make certain that it's clear that Planned Parenthood is the oldest and largest reproductive health care provider in the country, is a strong advocate for women's health and women's safety. We vigorously support all sorts of efforts around the country to protect women from violence and have done that throughout the 100 years of our history. And we do no different with respect to the circumstances you've heard about today. At the same time, we also very vigorously support the right of every woman to determine whether and when to bear a child. And any attempt at legislation on the state or federal level that would interfere with that, either directly, or indirectly, we find ourselves in need of opposing. As I've explained, Colorado already has statutes on the books, criminal statutes, which impose severe criminal penalties upon someone who intentionally terminates the pregnancy of a woman through an intentional act. We have identified that over the course of discussing this situation that our statutes do not address criminally reckless or criminally negligent behavior, reckless behavior, such as that would be perpetrated by someone who's under the influence in driving a car and causes the termination of a pregnancy as a consequence of that. A bill that was carefully crafted, and it would take some time to get it accomplished, but it's not impossible. To fill that gap sounds like a very good idea.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's not entirely true. Ashley Moser, one of the victims of the heinous Aurora theater shooting by the madman James Holmes, was shot in her stomach when she was pregnant. And yet, he did not have an extra charge levied upon him.
I have to assume that in this circumstance, the determination was made that Mr. Holmes was not intending to terminate the pregnancy of the woman who was his victim in this particular instance. There's no doubt that in other circumstances, prosecutors have tools to work with where they cannot prove the intent of the person, the specific intent of the person engaged in the criminal act. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, is a statute that would fill that gap.
My name is Ellen Belloff, and I'm here to represent myself and an organization called We Are Women Colorado that has over 1,000 members, and I'm here to speak for them as well. And we are opposing HB 131032 because we feel it's an attempt to use a backdoor tactic to gain approval for this so-called personhood legislation. Measures that has been previously mentioned that have been defeated in Colorado in 2008, 2010, and 2012. These measures encourage the state legal system to treat eggs, embryos, fetuses, as if they are legally separate from a pregnant woman. In these days of tight budgets, It's a terrible waste of taxpayer funds and a waste of our legislators' valuable time to continue to put forward measures that have been resoundingly defeated by the voters. And it's not that I don't have sympathy for the ladies who have testified that have lost babies, but this is not the way to accomplish that.
Now, you just referred to women who have lost babies, but prior to that, you were saying that I'm just confused about.
Okay,
what you
maybe
just-
my terminology. You know, I'm not a professional.
No, I understand. I'm just
nervous
No,
being
no,
here. I
that's
don't
totally-
speak in public often,
that's
but I
totally
feel
fine.
strongly about this enough, so I'm here to speak.
Sure.
You can see me trembling,
That's
but okay.
fine, but I just want to make sure that. I
So my
understand.
terminology may have been incorrect because,
So what did they lose, if you don't mind telling me?
well, they lost a pregnancy.
Thank you.
Sure.
As you have heard the testimonies from women who have lost their babies, and our legal system hasn't helped them. Something needs to be done. So, colleagues, we already have federal laws, but for some reason, Colorado has skipped this whole area of the criminal justice system, and I think it's about time that we take some action, and I ask for your yes vote for this bill.
And that bill, House Bill 1032 fails on a vote of 4-2. That motion fails on a vote of 4-7.